expect Casey to try to put a little something extra on the slider here.
Sun comes out from behind a cloud, and suddenly we have sunshine covering the infield. A 1-2 pitch to the plate. Swing and a miss! He struck him out! He struck him out! He struck him out! Aggies are going to the College World Series.
All right, howdy. Welcome back to the RedAss Podcast. This is your co-host, Rob White, fighting Texas Aggie class of 2014.
This is Roy May fighting Texas Aggie class 2015. I put something on Twitter asking if anybody had any questions, and the first response is cracking me up.
Oh, yeah.
Julie.
And we will definitely jump into that because I think it's going to be interesting to see how we quantify percentages on that.
Yeah, you're right. But, man, we got a lot of sports to hop into, so let's just get into it.
All right, yeah.
We can really kind of go wherever.
There's a lot of different things we can
we're going to knock basketball, women's basketball out first, and we can talk a little bit of men's basketball. But then I want to get into the diamonds. I want to get into softball, and I want to get into baseball. It was a great weekend for Texas A&M on both.
Oh, yeah.
And so maybe we just need to send you to Vegas all the time.
Well, I'll tell you what, that was another thing I wanted to touch on because I actually got to experience a sporting event for the first time in my life.
Yeah, go fast, turn left.
That's right, go fast, turn left. I got to go see the Pennzoil 400. That was a great, fun little race. Kind of missed out on not seeing any wrecks, unfortunately, but I mean, obviously nobody got hurt, which is always a good thing.
Well, what's amazing is even in those ridiculous wrecks you'll see at Talladega, and especially the super speedways, the safety measures NASCAR has these days, to see those guys walk away from some of the wrecks they do it's fascinating. It blows my mind, the engineering and safety that's
now.
No
doubt. My buddy James, so he actually got us set up with the scanners. So we plugged in and we had our little mics so we could talk between the two, but we'd switch them back and forth between Chase Elliott and whoever else and just flying through and hearing what's going on.
That was a wonderful. They've been around for a long time, but that's a wonderful PR move for NASCAR. It's so fun to be able to listen to in-car audio. Unedited. Oh,
I know. No, it's fantastic. It's hilarious watching these guys go after each other.
Yeah, not ready for TV. So let's talk basketball right quick. The women, the basketball, the conference basketball tournament got into it. Won their first game, came back second game, played Georgia. Unfortunately, dropped that. Georgia got off to a real hot start, and we kind of got off to a bit of a slow start, a little slow out of the gates. And while it's not a nagging concern, it's not the first time it's happened this year. I thought they fought hard. They got to about the last 2 or 3 minutes, and Georgia just kind of pulled away. But again, it's not going to affect them heading into the tournament. They're going to San Antonio. The 4 brackets. It's all going to be in a bubble, and I think they're supposed to be in the Riverwalk bracket.
Okay.
Which you figure, if you're a team from Texas, do you want to be in the Alamo bracket?
Well, not so much a team from Texas, but if you're from like Tennessee or Kentucky, you might be.
Yeah, also. But yeah, what we saw of them the first game of the tournament, though, they're obviously still piping along. So getting ready for them to set up for the tournament. Men, we got to see men's basketball.
Yeah.
Just to confirm that we do actually still have a program, and I thought they played really well going to Arkansas on the road. I was wildly impressed because Arkansas is the kind of team that'll hang 100 on you, but you may only score 40. At least the way what I was seeing from us.
Right.
So I thought it was a really encouraging showing.
Yeah, it's one of those. It's definitely the type of performance you want to have going into a tournament. I think the guys, it was a little concerning. Obviously, you've been off for however long. And now you find yourself in the situation where, okay, you got to go on the road to a top team in the conference and see what you can do. And
one of the better teams in the nation. I mean, Arkansas isn't a bad basketball program.
No, so they went out there and they performed admirably, especially considering the amount of crap we've had to hear online that we were trying to duck the game. I'm like, clearly the guys weren't trying to duck. They played pretty tough.
No, look, those guys want to play. There's nothing about us being off for a month that had anything to do with the players not wanting to play basketball.
No.
But there were some encouraging things, so we'll just kind of see how that plays out. Again, this year is weird having an opt-out, and in basketball again, one person can be like 12% of your roster if somebody decides not to play.
Right.
So we'll just kind of track how they play. So I want to get into the diamonds, and let's start with baseball first.
Yeah.
So midweek. So what did we say? Last week we said we needed to see 4-1, right?
Right, yeah, we said 4-1, maybe drop a midweek, or, one of the two games against New Mexico State probably would have been okay. But...
Right, if you go 4-1, and that's because you go 2-1 in the series against New Mexico State, I still consider that because then that means you're winning those midweek games that you just don't drop. You shouldn't be dropping.
No.
So I thought everything was kind of encouraging throughout the week. Incarnate Word was, and we talked about that. That's one of those programs that they'll bite a big program every year.
Yeah, and they've been a tough matchup for us last several years. I mean, they took it 2 years ago. They took that game, but we've had tight games with them. Definitely a program I respect a lot, even if their fans are a little shitty. But having been around, I told you that's like the first time I've ever been cussed out at Bluebell, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's one of those situations where you don't want to end up having to deal with those fans, and they were loud again, of course, but it's always satisfying to win against a team like that. And especially in a comeback, because the guys were able to kind of readjust themselves, find the runs when they needed them, and they won.
And I think that's one of the positive things to take out of that Incarnate Word was, they had to come from behind. Incarnate Word jumped out and got on them, and they had to fight their way back. And then we get into the New Mexico State series. And really, at no point did you really feel threatened that we were going to drop a game.
Well, it's crazy to think because we go back over the past several games and really the previous weekends, and we looked at what the concerns were. Offense wasn't really getting going, and pitching was lacking in a lot of.
Or offense would go, and then it would stop.
Right, then it would stop. Whereas you looked at our in pitching, which is always. Especially with the Rob Childress team, we go as the pitching goes, and if the pitching's rough, then we're in a tight spot.
It's going to be a rough year.
But over the course of the last 2 weekends, we have seen a steady improvement every single week from everybody. At this point, good Lord, Dustin Saenz comes out here, absolutely does a great job. And let's go ahead and jump in on Bryce Miller. Going 15 Ks along with Josh.
Yeah, what did we have, like 21 Ks that game?
Yeah.
And Bryce Miller, he got the Golden Spikes D1 Baseball Player of the Week or
Good
whatever
for him.
It was.
Earned.
Yeah, absolutely earned. So you go back into the series, and I think you make an interesting point as far as, we think about the weekend so far. What have we had? We've had Xavier.
Yeah.
We've had the round robin.
Yeah.
And now we've had this. And what you have seen is an upward trajectory because that Xavier weekend was brutal.
Right.
And that was don't sound the alarms, but have your finger close to the button. It follows up with some not stellar midweek play. And then you go up, and again, Baylor, OU, only dropping, go 2-1 that weekend. And so things are looking better. And then you see the midweek games, HBU, Incarnate Word. You come from behind on Incarnate Word. You scratch out an important win. And then you go into the weekend against New Mexico State. And I thought it was just a dominant series performance.
Oh, yeah, no doubt about it.
Now, are there things that we can still clean up?
Well, in terms of my biggest issue, which has been my biggest issue with this team for a long time, which is the lobster problem. It's still there. We have had times where we have hit with runners in scoring position, but it's very clear that with our given opportunities, we probably could have won these games by significantly higher run margins.
You get away with it against the New Mexico States of the world.
Right. You can't play these type of games, unfortunately, against the LSUs or the Arkansas or the Floridas of the world.
Well, maybe LSU.
Maybe the LSUs or the Auburns, but we'll get into that in a minute.
Baseball has been so weird.
It's odd enough because everybody preseason was giving us so much crap, saying, well, A&M's looking rough against Xavier. What were they thinking? They're clearly not there. But then, LSU drops the series to Oral Roberts at home.
Yeah, in the box.
Yeah, in the box. And then you have Auburn, who, mind you, I did not realize this when I first saw the stats. They ended up blowing a 9-1 lead in the final inning, and it was all on 2 outs. That is impressive. They were down to their final strike like 3 or 4 times.
That's a highlight that an Auburn fan doesn't ever want to see again.
No, and I don't blame them.
2 outs and woof. At some point you got to figure that's almost like the baseball guys not letting you win. You got 2 outs and give up 8 runs and then give up 2 the following inning and drop a game.
Yeah, it's like that's just something you can't do. You just can't blow a game like that. But they did.
Yes, well, you can't, but you did.
But you did. So it's one of those. It's rough, and you had to deal with it. And now it's like, where's your confidence as a team going forward?
Well, and that's one of those things where, hey, it's baseball.
Right.
Maybe that team just completely shrugs it off and moves forward. Yeah, it'll be something to watch. But again, I don't think you're going to get a lot from a midweek game. You see their performance, unless they go out and win like 21-0.
Right.
And you'll see that that it did them some good, maybe.
Maybe so.
Yeah. Don't be up just by 8 runs. It's the new rule at Auburn.
Right. You got to rock and roll a little bit.
So before we move to softball, I want to do something. We're not going to do sustains and improves. I think I've heard this somewhere before, but we're going to do kind of our version of it.
Right.
So relative to the Aggie baseball team, and it's still early, so these won't be super easy to answer, I think.
Uh-huh.
But we're going to do what we know, what we think we know, and what we know we don't know.
Uh-huh.
Okay? So what do we know that we know right now about this baseball program?
Oh, man, what we know, we know.
Team, not program. Excuse
The
me.
team. So what we know about this baseball team is that we have it's really interesting the way you phrase it, but I do have an idea here. What I do know is that the offense is inconsistent.
Okay.
That's one thing I will say we know for sure. Because we have seen them put up a stupid amount of runs, and then we see them turn around and get smoked.
Right.
So the question is, really, it's like we know that they have been inconsistent, at least early.
So for me, what I know about this team is that the pitching talent is there.
No doubt.
I think there were questions after the first 4 or 5 games.
There were.
It was legitimate issues with pitching, and that's a concern.
Right.
Like you said, when the pitching isn't good at A&M, you might be in for a really rocky year because we don't recruit, dudes that all hit 600 in high school. It's just kind of not how our program works.
No.
Obviously Rob likes, small ball contact hitting. We don't have a bunch of power hitters.
So we don't have the gorillas like we've had,
Yeah.
especially looking like 15, 16, 17. I mean, we had big hitters at that point, and we just haven't seen that equal power. I mean, you'll see 1 or 2 players have that, but in general, I mean, also, hats off to Will Frizzell, mind you. I mean,
It's been nice to see him get back in the groove.
Yeah, he's looking good.
Fighting back off off of injury. I don't think he ever really looked back last year, coming off last time we saw him post injury. But I know. So what I know is that the pitching talent is still there.
Oh, it's definitely there.
Okay, so on the next one, I'll go first. So what I think that I know is that the bats are there.
Okay.
And I think that comes from that inconsistency you're talking about.
Right.
I think that I know that there is an incredible offense, on this team. It just refuses to rear its ugly head and start averaging 7 to 9 runs a game. Really punching around. So that's I think the offense is there.
Right. I think what I know at this point is is really with the team confidence is building. I think this team is starting to realize their potential and starting to build that up as we're getting out of non-conference play. This weekend with Sanford is going to be kind of our little bow cherry on top, and going into our first real test going on the road to Florida.
Another confidence builder.
Right, another big confidence builder potential.
Going to need a lot of confidence going to Florida.
Right, so that's what you want. So, you've got a couple of midweek games this week, with A&M Corpus, who I think is going to be a pretty tough test. They've been a pretty salty team last several years. Prairie View, not so much. But then Sanford's going to be, they'll be what they're going to be. We got to go out there and take care of business.
Yep.
And then, finish off our midweeks after that and go on to play at Florida.
Okay, now what do you know that you absolutely do not know?
What I know, what I don't know, is where Rob Childress's head is at. I think for me, I think obviously he wants the team to win. I think, but I just don't know really what direction what he's wanting to see out of the back half of this schedule here.
Gotcha. What I know that I don't know is if we can put the pitching and hitting together in conference.
And that is a very good point.
I know I don't know that.
Yeah.
And that is concerning heading into conference play. And I get that the SEC's had a lot of hiccups. I think you've seen a lot of hiccups across the country right now with top ranked teams. But at the same time, then they're dealing with those confidence issues, so maybe you can take advantage of it. But right now, I don't know that we can consistently put pitching and hitting together, and we got to do it in conference.
Yeah, fingers crossed that the boys can really keep it rolling. I mean, I've been very happy with what I've seen lately. Obviously, it's still early. We still have a lot of things we got to clean up, but the boys are certainly looking the part as of the last couple weeks, and they put together a nice winning streak now. So hopefully, this thing will continue.
Yeah, absolutely. And, like we say, we're not rooting against them here.
Oh, never.
All right, so now we're going to flip over to softball. And,
All right.
and I think it's important to follow up on this, especially considering we had Gray Robertson on. And when we talked about it, there was just a lot of
uncertainty.
Gosh, what is this team going to be? What are they going to do? If they're going to win, how are they going to find wins? Kind of same thing what we were talking about with baseball.
Sure.
Are we going to have the bats, or are we going to have a lot of low-scoring, pitchers duels this year? What's going to be the identity of this team?
Right.
And I'll tell you what, right now, the identity of the softball team is nothing but upward trajectories. Mm-hmm. So, and we'll go back to the beginning of their schedule. They got started off in February, and they kind of went back and forth in one of their tournaments, and win-loss, and then they finished off their invitational with a win. So they went 3-2 in the invitational, and then they win their next 3 at Tulsa. That was that Tulsa sweep that we talked about.
Right.
And then last week, midweek, they have Sam, and it was at Sam. They actually traveled to Sam.
Right.
And they went 11-5.
Solid win.
And then you go into the weekend for the Reveille Classic, and you have Lamar, and you have Campbell. So those are games. I mean, again, you don't ever go into anything expecting to win, because I think of where maybe this team is at as far as expectations. Not the girls and not the staff, but I think just kind of like more the way Gray was talking about it. And,
right.
And you go in and you open up on Friday, and you had Lamar and Campbell on Friday, and you go out and you win 8-0 and you win 3-0.
Right.
Then you get it Saturday morning. They're really Saturday afternoon. They get Campbell again. They win. There's a no-hitter in there as well.
Yeah.
And then you get the Tennessee game. So Tennessee was kind of the marquee opponent, right?
Right. And it was a good game.
It was a phenomenal game. I watched it. You want to talk about lobsters? Boy, Tennessee doesn't want to see a lobster anywhere. They ain't going to Red Lobster. That's none of it. They've loaded the bases 3 separate times in that game and got 0 runs out of loaded bases 3 times.
Right.
Or was it 0 or no? Yeah, it was 0. It was unbelievable to watch. So you're at a point where Tennessee, who's a damn fine program, is only up 2-0, and but their pitcher is she's one of the bright spots in the Conference of the Nation as far as pitching is concerned. Sure. And then we get to the plate and we go back-to-back jacks and you tie it up at 2. Yeah. And I think. Unfortunately, they ended up dropping the game 3-2, but you drop the game 3-2 to Tennessee. And
they're ranked 19th. Good team.
Right. And then you turn around Sunday and you wonder if there's a letdown, because that's a ton of emotional energy to go toe-to-toe with a team like Tennessee and it not go your way, unfortunately. Right. And then you turn around Sunday and they 13-3. They run rule Lamar. So obviously the resilience on the squad is there, and the bats are there. And I think what we're seeing is an emergence of the bats and maybe identifying the true number 1 pitcher, which again, remember in softball means you can pitch for like 3 days.
Right.
It's unbelievable, just because of the natural motion of the arm. So I was thrilled. I got to watch a good bit of it. I was between my TV, my laptop, and my phone. I had baseball on, I had softball on, and I was watching volleyball.
It's a nice full weekend.
Volleyball. Volleyball won both of their matches this weekend. So, and I had drill this weekend too, so I was having to sneak around with it a little bit.
those were both against Alabama, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
But I want to do this real quick on softball too, and this is and I watched a lot this weekend. I watched a good bit of softball, and I think I got a much better feel for the team. I haven't been able to catch a ton of the games, but
Well, give you a quick update on softball. They're actually leading Texas Southern 6-0 as of this recording.
Oh, that's right. They started at 3.
Yeah, they got a doubleheader.
That's right. So you had 5 games over the weekend. You win the 4 that you kind of, when you just think about Texas A&M as a softball program, should always beat the Lamars and Campbells of the world.
Sure.
And you take the 19 team in the country, to the wire.
Right.
So what I know about softball. I know that they have a legitimate power hitter in Haley Lee.
Right.
I know that for a fact. What I think I know is that they have 2 solid pitchers.
Okay.
And what I don't know and I know I don't know this, is whether or not the power production from the rest of the lineup can maintain, because you can't just have Haley Lee hitting dingers.
No, Shaylee Ackerman just bounced one off of the weight room, so
There you go.
it happens every once in a while.
So, but through the weekend you saw homers from not just Haley Lee. You saw power production up and down the lineup. So I think that was it's what you want to see. And again, just like baseball, you're seeing an upward trend. And even though they dropped that game to Tennessee, they wasn't a run rule. It was down to the last inning. I mean, they had shots in the 7th to tie it up.
Right.
So they're there, and I think they're a lot further along than we thought they would be this early in the season. So that's really encouraging.
It is encouraging, especially with conference play looming its head. It's going to be one of those deals where it's going to be what we've talked about before. Will that momentum carry? I think there's a good chance it will. I think with as stacked as the SEC is, it will be interesting to see how they respond and to see if there's any other run production that does come out.
Right, and then next weekend is their last kind of round robin classic invitational. It's the Davis Diamond Classic. Montana, I can point out on a map. I have no idea about their softball program, but Louisiana Tech is one of those. They always have have a decent program. So
they're solid right up there with Louisiana Lafayette. Good solid program.
Yeah, they're got 3 against Montana and 2 against Louisiana Tech. So this is another weekend to maybe see some more upward trajectory, see some more names kind of emerge as threats. With power, with contact, just be able to get around the bases. So, super excited for Aggie softball.
Yeah, it's been a lot of good sports.
It has. It's been volleyball sweeps. It was a really good weekend for the Aggie athletic department.
Oh yeah,
we picked up another commitment today in football. So it's
from Fayetteville.
Yeah, from Vietnam. So things are rolling along nicely.
That's great.
So I didn't know if you wanted to talk a ton about NASCAR, or are you good on that topic?
I'm pretty much covered what I wanted to talk about.
Yeah, NASCAR is cool. NASCAR is really cool if you can get like a pit pass and really see what all goes into a race day. Mm-hmm. But so barring sports, which the majority of what we do is we talk about sports, but we can talk about other things on this show.
Oh sure.
We can get into the questions right now if you want to.
We certainly can. Let me pull up because I'm double checking on a couple things here.
Yeah, so we always ask if y'all have any questions for us, and so I'm gonna some of these questions, man.
I know.
What percent of RedAss are y'all? I'm not gonna answer that.
Oh no, we should. I mean, come on, it's there. It's awesome.
Man, I used to be at like 115%. Man, when you're wearing the yellow or whites, you don't really have a choice. But it also makes it really easy to be that way. On a gray Tuesday afternoon, I'm probably sitting about 65-70%. I'm passing.
Yeah, passing the RedAss. I feel that.
I would say on a regular basis, though, I probably roll around 90%, 95%. This weekend, I had drill, and I still found a way to watch baseball, softball, I watched volleyball, and that's not a huge viewer sport.
No, I would say,
even though Bird is building a program.
Oh yeah, no, she definitely is. I'm probably around about 90-91%. I only because that's my birth year, 91.
Oh, very well.
But I'll stick with that, just because I feel like I probably could have made things work and been at baseball this weekend, but I decided to go out of town. And
every once in a while, it's completely okay to have a weekend that's not in Olsen.
Right. Well, and also with band stuff, it's going to get to the point where I can't make weekends happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, it's like everybody else. You're in school, you don't miss anything, and then you become an adult and have adult things to do, and you're like, man, I wish I was a student again.
Yeah.
Going to games and having sports passes and be able to go to everything that you wanted to.
All right, so I'll answer the second half of the. I'll ask the second half of the question here. So, in the event of a zombie apocalypse, do the Reveillees come back? If they do, are they fuzzy or just bones? You got to think that at that point the decomposition has already taken place. Reveille 8 though.
Are we doing Pet Cemetery? What are we doing? So personally, I'm going to go with more like Resident Evil.
Okay.
So I think it's just I've never in my life did I think I'd have to answer this question.
now here's the question: will they still bite at you, or will they? Or if they bark, does that still encourage you to leave class early? That's the real question. Because having 8 other Reveillees running around on campus, that sounds great.
Well, I mean, it has the potential for a lot more classes to be dismissed, so that's nice.
That is true.
I like this one for Julie. Julie rattled off a couple questions. What building on campus would you bring back, and which one would you implode right now?
Blocker gone.
Yeah, I don't know how anybody doesn't say Blocker.
Blocker is gone. You know what building?
It looks like a Soviet mental institute.
Right. As bad as it was, you know what? Honestly, if I could bring back one building, G. Raleigh White.
Yeah, the Holler House, dude. That was going to be my answer. Yeah, I would absolutely bring G. Raleigh back.
I mean, G. Raleigh was great. I mean, and you had a bunch of athletic classes and stuff in there too, but that's where the bookstore was whenever I got here because they were still renovating the MSC.
Well, it was like the close intimacy of it too. Like, I mean, you were just on top of the players, on top of the game. Reed is that expansive kind of. It's almost more for venues than it is for sports.
I'd say it feels more like a cathedral.
Yeah.
But I mean, the hollering house on the Brazos, man, loud.
Yeah, I'm all about bringing the stands closer to the action.
Oh sure, 100%.
But yeah. Yeah, Blocker. 95%. We put up a poll bid on 95% would say Blocker, I bet.
Blocker gone. And then the final question: best brand of bubbles, Gazillion Bubbles, 100%.
Yeah, that's on Rob.
Those things have a great solution. They hold up well, and you can get them at Walmart for dirt cheap.
Rob is in the business of knowing very specific things about bubbles.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's kind of my dog's name.
Did we say they're at Walmart?
Yeah, they're at Walmart.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, they're easy to spot too. They're green and purple.
All right, so, and John asked a question, and I'm going to stay away from the 3 wishes one because, I'll just sit here forever trying to think of that. But the second question is, asked, if you could interview any famous person, who would it be and why?
Now let me preface, is this a person that's alive or dead?
Yes, you didn't preface it. I'm going to say alive.
All right, famous person that is alive.
If you could interview any famous person. I mean, I bet I could guess yours.
Oh, you think you could guess mine?
I do think I could guess yours.
If I could interview any famous person, honestly, I would say probably Dave Grohl.
Yep.
I was like, it was between Dave Grohl and James Hetfield, but between the two of those, I'd probably say just Grohl because you get double experience with Nirvana and Foo Fighters, and I love both bands. So
that's fair.
Yeah, so I'd probably have to say Dave Grohl.
I don't know. That's tough for me because I feel like part of me would want to just sit down. If you're talking just sit down for an hour and just not interview, but just talk, conversational interview. I feel like Jerry Seinfeld would be really high on my list for some reason.
That'd be interesting.
Yeah, I think he's kind of kooky. I think he's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, for some reason him. I think sitting down with Bill Burr.
Okay.
Just because you literally have no idea what's going to come out of his mouth.
So if we're going down that road, I would say one other person I wouldn't mind having a conversation with would probably be Ron White. The comedian, just because I have a feeling he has so many interesting life experiences.
Yeah, you wouldn't even really have to say much of a word. Just give him a cigar and a whiskey and just let him go.
I know. No, yeah,
which is basically his whole bit.
I'm about to say, put me in a room so the two of us have a scotch, both of us have a stick, and we'll just sit there and shoot the shit. That would be awesome.
Yeah,
I could get behind that.
Cool. What about athlete?
Ooh, athlete. If I could sit down and chat with. Yeah, man.
I don't know.
Oh, living athletes. Honestly, well, because I'm such a Steelers guy. I would have to say probably. You know what? Honestly, Randy Johnson.
The big unit?
Big unit, man. Like I said, he was around at so many teams, and you got to understand, when I was growing up, I was a big-time Diamondbacks fan because, they're in Arizona, they're a fresh expansion team, and we're out in New Mexico, so that's really one of the closer teams to us. And, they went on to go win the World Series against the Yankees, the evil empire. They won it. And so it was cool to watch that team, and, everybody, Mark Grace and Craig Counsell with his goofy batting stance. Like, that whole team was just loaded with great names. And, of course, Gonzo out there launching balls to...
I forgot about Luis Gonzalez.
He's one of my... That was the first baseball jersey I ever bought that a name on the back was a Luis Gonzalez jersey, man.
Nice.
Love that guy. But anyway, so... I would say probably Randy Johnson.
See, I'm kind of torn. Like... Part of me would love to sit down with Michael Jordan for an hour.
Oh, that'd be cool.
Just because, really, to crawl inside the mind of somebody who is, so incredibly, kind of alpha-oriented and success-oriented, and just kind of see what makes him work. And it's just intense about it across the board. All the interviews and everything you see with him, it's not a facade with him.
Right.
My other athlete would maybe be like Phil Mickelson. I think he'd just be really cool to sit down and chill with.
Yeah, I think Phil. I mean, honestly, you could pick a number of different golfers. I think would be just
Most of them
fine.
pretty chill.
Yeah.
And then I could do one that kind of spans between celebrity and golfer. I'd sit down with Bill Murray.
Bill Murray would be really fun to sit down and chat with.
I would love to drink a couple too many with Bill Murray and just let him go, man.
Oh,
Talk about all the days back, when he was younger and acting, and the days of the prime days of Saturday Night Live and Caddyshack and Stripes and.
If you had to give me one other individual, I mean, Grant, I know we're going way off here, but just since we're enjoying the conversation, I would say probably Jack Black. And the only reason is because Jack Black, I just feel like a lot of his musical stylings really kind of influenced what I enjoy. And a lot of his mannerisms are things that I appreciate. So I feel like the two of us would get along really well.
I can see that being a lot of fun to sit down with him.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, he's a goof, and I love goofs.
That's fair.
So I think that'd be a fun conversation.
Yeah. And again, for me, it's not sitting down and interviews. It's like sitting down and just having a beer with him.
Oh, yeah.
I wouldn't come to the table with a whole bunch of questions. Just kind of let them run with it, let them drive the conversation.
Oh, sure.
So back to sports a little bit. I know we've got Stanford. We talked about baseball. We talked about softball coming up. Yeah, we covered everything coming up.
Pretty much.
Okay. This is kind of a short cast today. Things have been really goofy. You were in Vegas. I had drill. I had 3-day drill, so I had Friday to Sunday. I've got another drill later this month. For some reason, March is busy randomly, and all the schedules are starting to ramp up. Getting into conference play. We've got basketball tournaments coming up.
Right.
So we're gonna have a ton to deal with.
Right.
But you can never have too much sports.
No, you can't.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, yesterday West Ham played the Monday match, which I really don't care for, except for when I have drill all weekend. I'm totally cool with them playing on Monday, so I get to watch.
How'd it go? I mean, I was traveling all day, so.
Oh yeah, we beat Leeds 2-0.
Nice.
Probably should have beat them about 4-0. But they also had a goal disallowed that was sketchy.
Garbage.
Yeah, we had Mike Dean reffing again yesterday.
Right.
So that was. The Mike Dean show is always something fun to watch.
Yeah, that's what we keep hearing.
But so we got I've got some stuff kind of in the hopper lined up. I'm still working on the same stuff I was talking about. But this weekend we should be, if not this weekend, absolutely the following weekend. But this weekend we should be rolling out the smoked chili dogs at the restaurant.
Nice.
So I may run up there on Thursday and do a little trial run. And if we do, just kind of pay attention to Good Bull Twitter. We might run a little flash special because we'll have some up there. Because that's the thing about when you train in the food industry, food gets produced.
Right.
You can't just point and go through the motions. You actually have to make sure people do it.
Right.
Check mark, check mark, check mark. So we might have a couple chili dogs on Thursday to either give away or sell real cheap. But yeah, just keep an eye on the restaurant. As the weather gets nicer and sports get geared up, we tend to get busier, and busy's always good.
Oh yeah, I feel that.
So, but yeah, outside of that, man, I'm like everybody else, just plugging along. Like I said, I've got to go to where am I going? Camp Bullis, I think. I don't know. It's north of San Antonio. I think it's Camp Bullis. I got 4 days of a warrior competition, and
there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to shave twice in a month. What?
Nah, what's all that about? Well, I'm definitely looking forward to. We got some fun news coming up. Nothing I can share yet.
I know, I have some stuff I want to tell you, but I just can't.
I'm in the exact same boat, and as soon as I can, I'll be able to tell you guys the same thing. But I'll be playing with Jordan Nix this weekend. We're up at Peace and War in Texas, up in Plano. We're going to be playing up there. We're going to be opening for our buddy Tanner Usry. And we got a few more shows this month, and then some other fun things after that.
Are you guys local this month? Are you playing the Tap or?
No, so all those are going to be
all out of town.
All out of town. We're at like I said, we're at Plano this weekend on Saturday, and then we will be Oklahoma Friday night, and then the Majestic Saturday up in Fort Smith, Arkansas the following week. So we're going to be cruising around.
I was going to say, there's some actual road trips there.
Yeah, some real road trips are finally getting into it. So that's where we're at right now. And once other news is coming around, I'll be sure to share.
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. It's really good news. Trust me. Yeah, end of news report.
100%.
Be sure you go on the A&M Barstool account.
Yes.
Has a thing for the Dixie Chicken bar vote, so make sure you hop on and vote for the Dixie Chicken.
Yep. And just retweet that. Best bar Dixie Chicken. Make sure you hashtag that and push it out.
Yeah, Aggies don't lose polls.
Yeah, especially when it comes to our bars, man. We love our bars.
Especially the chicken. I mean, the bird is.
We love the bird.
It's legendary.
We love the bird.
So, the thing with. Oh gosh, dude, I've got some videos coming up with Texas A&M. I'm actually going to get to do some stuff. I think it has to do with kind of like recruiting things. So keep an eye out for those. They're kind of in the midst of it right now, but be a whole bunch of different stories just about different students, and I am a different student. That's for sure. I believe the correct phrase was non-traditional, which is a nice way of just calling me old. I believe. But yeah, so working on that, and the Brian Bosworth thing came out. I was really happy with that. So
that's cool. I mean, what a cool thing! It was really fun to actually be over at Good Bull while that was going on.
Yeah, you want to talk about a dude you love to sit down and interview? Like, he was fascinating to sit and talk. I mean, he had a couple of questions on a script, but man, most of that was just he and I just talking, man.
Right, and that's great.
So easy to get along with. He's such a nice guy, and you want to talk about a dude with stories. He's certainly got some. He came through college football when it was. I mean, he was really the first guy to truly have his own brand.
Well, he was the first real celebrity about it. If you think about it, I mean, you look at
the college level.
I'm about to say, you look at a lot of college players. I mean, you look at the brands of folks like Johnny Football. You look at and that's just an easy example for us to use. But I mean, he was the boss, and everybody knew who he was.
Everybody.
Absolutely everybody, because he was running around with a mullet and the big shut sunglasses
and that neck roll. He used to wear.
That dude absolutely destroyed people, and I mean, he owned it. And not to mention wearing a bandana, to the football game. Like, who did that?
Yeah, just him.
It was him. He was the guy. He was a brand, and good on him.
Yeah, that really was a fun interview. Neither of us were really asking each other questions more than we were just kind of talking.
Oh yeah. That's fantastic.
So, all right, with that, I guess it's on with the rest of the week. I'm going to go home and watch some softball.
Yeah, I'd say I'm going to go watch the baseball game here in a little bit. And I get to go unbox my new upright bass. It just came in the mail.
Boy.
I'm looking forward to having to play around with that. But
don't worry, we will not be doing any live sets on the podcast.
I never said that. So we are. So make sure you do follow us at our socials. That's Roy May 15 on Twitter, Rob the Slapper on Twitter, and of course, if you guys have any additional questions for us about upcoming casts, hit us up. Shoot us 5-star review on Apple, so we can get this thing to more people. I know this is a very niche podcast, but anything that can get our name out there and maybe expand on what we do, that'd be great.
Well, don't forget to follow, Good Bull Barbecue. That's kind of all of our stuff we do. Your band. All that stuff.
Yeah, be sure to give everybody a nice little holler and a follow.
Yeah, this one was kind of thrown together, but I really wanted to talk about baseball and softball, so I'm glad we got that covered because, I think there's a lot of excitement around both diamonds right now.
Well, yeah, and it's definitely the mood has improved from week to week, and that's always a good thing.
Yeah, and I think I'm probably almost even more excited for softball because baseball, I thought we always figured would finally they'll get it going.
Right.
Softball, after that talk with Gray, I was like, man, how are they going to do this year? But they really are starting to define themselves.
I mean, they're 11-3 and about to probably be at 13-3 by the end of the day.
Yeah, so I'm excited to see them really truly find their identity and play for each other. They do the home run hugs. I love that.
Love that.
Like all the good, like whenever they have a good play, whenever they had a home run, they give each other. There's no daps or anything crazy. Like this year, their thing is hugs, and I love it. I think it's hilarious. I think it's awesome.
Support everybody, man.
So, all right. Well, if you're in Aggie Land, get out at the ballpark. Weather's getting to be nice.
It's great outside. It feels fantastic.
Yeah. Go to softball, go to baseball. If the weather stinks, go to volleyball, or if we're just go to volleyball, period. Because all three of those programs are certainly going in the right direction, and that's what we like to see.
Yep. All right. Well, guys, we appreciate y'all listening in. Thanks. You're gonna beat the hell out of COVID and everything else.
Yeah.